Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down House of the Dragon. The trailer for Season 2 Episode 4 is now here, and in this video we're going to go through it all. This includes the Easter eggs, things we think will happen, and also part of the books that talk about the events. Obviously there's heavy spoilers ahead, so if you want some surprises then make sure you check out now. There is a big death that I think is going to happen, but I'll give you another heads up before we get to that. Also got a bit of a cold at the moment, so a thumbs up's much appreciated. And with that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into House of the Dragon.
Only weeks ago my lord husband was alive, and the realm was at peace. You might be half the king your father was.
Tread carefully.
I'll watch.
All who refuse will have their death. You afraid, sir?
Worse, I'm rational.
My father believed that I was meant to unite the realm.
I needed to know that there was no other path, and now I do.
Hold to your courage! Hold to your wits!
You must send the dragons to war. The horrors I have just loosed cannot be for a crown alone.
The teaser clearly telegraphs that this episode we're going to get the Battle of Rooks Rest. This involved a giant dragon fight, and it's probably going to be the standout of the series. Rooks Rest was Sir Criston's next objective. Forewarned of their coming, Lord Staunton closed his gates and defied the attackers. Behind his walls, his lordship could only watch as his fields and woods and villages were burned, his sheep and cattle and small folk put to the sword. When provisions inside the castle began to run low, he dispatched a raven to Dragonstone, pleading for succor. Actually sounds better with a cold when I say that. Now we see these soldiers stood atop the walls, and over the top of this we hear Alicent. Saying that Viserys was alive just a couple of weeks ago, she says the realm was at peace. This was something that he inherited from Jaehaerys, with it lasting roughly 80 to 90 years. Rhaenyra wore the same crown that both the pair had, and this is why she wanted to broker peace with Alicent. However, that's all gone to crap now, and he was talking about the other Aegon, love. He was talking about the other Aegon, you idiot. Now we actually see this crown in the trailer at one point. This falls to the floor and spins around, and it seems to build off the back of this scene with Daemon. We catch him approaching the Iron Throne, with it appearing like he's visiting King's Landing. However, the area is lit slightly different, with this being a more toned down grey. The throne room is completely vacant too, and thus I think that this is another vision. As we know, he's cooped up at Harrenhal being tormented by Alice Rivers. So I think this is going to be something similar, and the crown he sees with it ties in with Viserys. Millie Alcock made a cameo in episode 3, and we might get Paddy back to show up in this moment. Either way, I love how these visions have been integrated, as it was great seeing Millie back. Now back to the start, we see the council ball spinning before it's locked into place. This hammers home the idea that war's now locked in, and it's inevitable that people are about to get cooked. Mounting up at the forest line of Rooks Rest, we then see the Hightower forces. However, amongst them we can catch the forces of House Darklyn. These are the shields that we see with the house bearing the sigil. Thus I think this comes off the back of Duskendale, which we likely get in the following shots. You can see these shields just below Criston's horse, and we've seen him just march someone along the pier. The person then gets beheaded, and therefore I think it's Lord Darklyn. With 100 knights and 500 men-at-arms of the royal household, augmented by 3 times as many hardened sellswords, Sir Criston marched on Rosebery and Stokeworth, whose lords had only recently repented their allegiance to the Queen, commanding them to prove their loyalty by adding their power to his own. Thus augmented, Cole's host advanced upon the walled harbour town of Duskendale, where they took the defenders by surprise. The town was sacked, the ships in the harbour set afire, Lord Darklyn beheaded. His household knights in garrison were given the choice between swearing their swords to King Aegon or sharing their lord's fate. Most chose the former. Now this is who I think Criston's killing, and it makes sense that his forces then join them. They really switch sides, and if only there was a way they could show their new allegiances. Well, guess what, mate? Got 3 House of the Dragon shirts on the store below, yeah? You can pick either our Greens or Blacks one, and also our Dragons, Drama and Destiny one. You also have our Theory Time stuff as well, and I've just launched a brand new chestburster one for the upcoming Alien movie. All goes towards helping videos like this get made, and huge thank you if you've picked one up. Now amongst the montage, we also see a shot of Alicent holding Viserys' dragon model. This is what she gave him in season 1, and it's what opened the door for the pair to get closer. This was his dragon Balerion the Black Dread, with Viserys never riding another after it. She's clearly thinking about him a lot in this episode and how he constantly averted war. Even her brother's been pulled into the conflict, with Egwene disagreeing with the way Kristen's handling things. It's going to lead to some big battles, and we see Meleys going against Vhagar. We also see more houses have joined the Darklands, with this being Roseberry and Stokeworth. Over the top of this, Rhaenyra hammers home there's no other path but war, and we see Rhaenys going out to Meleys. Aegon is sitting in his chair before he then rushes out. I think this is him deciding to go to Rooks Rest and then join in the battle. We see Sunfire flying over King's Landing, and we know he's toyed with this idea before. Larys has tried to talk him out of it, but he's dead set on going to battle. And that takes us to the Battle of Rooks Rest, with the work saying, "Here Mushroom's version seems most likely, but we know that 9 days after Lord Staunton dispatched his plea for help, the sound of leathern wings was heard across the sea, and the dragon Meleys appeared above Rooks Rest. The Red Queen, she was called, with the scarlet scales that covered her. The membranes of her wings were pink, her crest, horns and claws bright as copper, and on her back, in steel and copper armour that flashed in the sun, rode Rhaenys Targaryen, the queen who never was." Now from here it explains the battle and Kristen's move. Sir Criston Cole was not dismayed. Aegon's hand had expected this, counted on it. Drums beat out a command and archers rushed forward, longbowmen and crossbowmen both filling the air with arrows and quarrels. Scorpions were cranked upward to loose iron bolts of the sort that had once felled Meraxes in Dawn. Meleys suffered a score of hits, but the arrows only served to make her angry. She swept down, spitting fire to the right and left. Knights burned in their saddles as the hair and hide and harness of their horses went up in flames. Some tried to hide behind their shields, but neither oak nor iron could withstand dragon's breath. Sir Criston sat on his white horse shouting, "Aim for the rider!" through the smoke and flames. Meleys roared, smoke swirling from her nostrils, the stallion kicking in her jaws as the tongues of fire engulfed him. So I think this will play out in the episode, and we'll see Meleys dominate the conflict. However, as we've discussed, Vhagar and Sunfire are coming, which leads into a gigantic battle. Now, there are some spoilers for the next part of the video that are going to outline what happened. Because of that, I wanted to give you another heads up, just in case you wanted to check out. If you do, then thanks for checking us out, and I hope to see you Sunday night when we break down the episode. Hopefully I sound better then as well. Apologies for that. Yeah, not very good. Not very good at all, but we're going on. Anyway, the work says, Princess Rhaenys made no attempt to flee. With a glad cry and a crack of her whip, she turned Meleys towards the foe. Against Vhagar alone she might have had some chance, but against Vhagar and Sunfire together, doom was certain. The dragons met violently 1,000 feet above the battlefield as balls of fire burst and blossomed so bright that men swore later the sky was full of suns. The crimson jaw of Meleys closed around Sunfire's golden neck for a moment, till Vhagar fell upon them from above. All three beasts went spinning towards the ground. They struck the ground so hard that the stones fell from the battlements of Rooks Rest half a league away. And the only things that come out of this unscathed are Aemond and Vhagar. Sunfire was completely torn up, with Aegon being in critical condition. It's said he was burned so bad that his armour had actually melted into his skin, but he still fared better than Rhaenys. She was said to be so burned that onlookers couldn't even tell if it was her. Her body, believed to be Rhaenys Targaryen, was later found beside the carcass of her dragon, but it was so blackened that no one could be sure it was her. Beloved daughter of Lady Jocelyn Baratheon and Prince Aemond Targaryen, faithful wife to Lord Corlys Velaryon, mother and grandmother, the queen who never was, lived fearlessly and died amidst blood and fire. She was 55 years old. Sound a bit ASMR there. It's getting people are loving the video so far. But either way, it's pretty messed up and obviously a massive loss for the Blacks. However, the Greens don't exactly come out with a win either, as Aegon's injuries completely changed the war. Alicent and Aemond then led in his stead, which might be something they explore or tease next week. I do think they'll leave that for maybe episode 5, but yeah, it obviously brings true the doubt that Larys tried to instill in him. Either way, this is going to be the biggest dragon battle we've seen in House of the Dragon, with it marking a massive change in the war. Possibly even bigger than the ones in Game of Thrones, and it elevates the conflict to the next level. I hope that you guys join me when we go through it all, as I'm sure there's lots of other things that will happen in the episode. Rhaenyra seems to be telling Jace something important, and I wonder if this is her passing on the prophecy. He is named the heir, so would really need to know, and she might tell him of the Song of Ice and Fire. That's just a theory. But let me know your thoughts below. Please drop a like on the video as well, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. We get early access to videos every week, and it goes a massive way towards helping us out. With that out of the way, huge thank you for clicking this. I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, I'll see you next time. You take care, peace.